What are you guys doing? Spooky tree. That's where the bald eagle was. Hi guys, Rachel here. How is everyone? I just wanted to give you a little at present, what's been going on first week of November. I've been having a lot of issues with my phone and storage, so I thought rather than trying to do it all in one go, I would try and break it up a bit. So I'll just talk about a couple of things, and I might have a deck to share with you, and that will be about it. So as I mentioned in my last wrap up, Halloween was really nice. We decided to just stay at home. My daughter had a friend over, and I made paprika hendel, which you might be familiar with if you watched my Fanguary video from, well, actually this year. I always refer to it as last year. It's technically this year. That's Candy's challenge. Fanguary is a reading challenge or tag where you read vampire fiction or nonfiction in February. I had so much fun with it. So I had discovered the dish while reading an annotated version of Dracula by Leonard Woolf, and it's a very old Hungarian dish, and I made it for Fanguary. We had it on Valentine's Day, absolutely loved it. It became a staple in our house, and I thought it would be perfect for Halloween. So I made it for everybody, and my daughter's friend loved it. Highly recommend. So, sorry, I'm distracted. My daughter has a friend over right now. Actually, if you hear some noises, that's what it's all about. Made the paprika hendel, and we watched Dracula AD 1972, which you might have seen that ridiculous clip that I shared on Halloween from the film. The fight between Johnny Alucard and Van Helsing is just gold, just gold. So that was a lot of fun. And then the next day, on Saturday, November 1st, we continued on with Halloween Part 2, and we visited the nearby cemetery, and it's one of my favorite places to visit. It sits on a lake, and it was just so beautiful. All of the colors and the wind. It was windy, a little cold, but not unbearable. We were just sort of overcome by the beauty of the place. We didn't mind that we were cold, or rather we didn't notice it anymore. So I'm sure I'll be sharing some footage from that. And then we went and got some boba at a nearby boba place. Wonderful. So today we went back to the MFA, the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, to see the Rachel Ruysch exhibit again. It's, oh my God, it's just so fascinating. And I'm sure I'll share a few photos, but not too many, because I already went over this after my first visit. So if you're very curious about Rachel Ruysch, I would recommend watching my previous wrap-up video, which I will be linking below if you haven't already, if you want to know a little bit more about why Rachel Ruysch is so important. And it is by no means a video essay or anything like that. I just shared some of the things that I learned and some photographs and things. Also a book that I had purchased. But anyway, yeah, we went back to the exhibit today, and my daughter's friend came with us again, even though he had seen it already, but he liked it too. So I was thrilled that a kid would want to go back a second time. And my daughter, she went around and took photos of everything that she could find in the paintings that were blue, because she loves blue and she wants to make like a photo collage. And I wanted to share with you, this book arrived today, and this is this backwards? I don't know. This is The Insects of Suriname by Maria Sibylla Marian. But I already went on about her a bit in my last video, and for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to go on explaining, but I just wanted to share with you some of her beautiful work. Sorry if this video is a bit fumbly. I didn't plan it out, really. Not that I plan out many of my videos, but I wanted to get this out of the way. I hope that you can see, and I will share with you what we got at the museum. And as part of the Rachel Ruysch exhibit, I got this print here. Oh, it's just beautiful. I love the contrast of the white and the red. This was a sale item in the gift shop. This is a Turner. I love Turner. I hope that there's not too much of a reflection on there. This is a later work of his. Sorry, there's a lot of noise going on right now. This is much more impressionistic than his earlier works. But I just love the colors. I mean, you could say there's a lack of color here, but I love the lightning and the pink in the sky in contrast against that dark gray. I just had to have it. I love it so much. What else for first week of November? I'm reading, as I mentioned in my TBR for Gothlit November, The Scarlet Letter for a second time. And I'm a little bit more than halfway through it. It's so beautiful. I mentioned in my TBR, it's filled with color and light and love. It's also quite a bit darker than I remember. That's what I remember from my first read. I won't talk about this too much because I am sure that I will mention it later on. But what's interesting, I've noticed, and I am by no means an expert on Gothic literature or Nathaniel Hawthorne, but he keeps referring to the condemned people in Salem as witches. And as we know, most likely none of them were actually practicing any of the things that they were accused of. I mean, they were being accused of some very dark, harmful deeds. But it's interesting that Hawthorne more than once refers to them as witches. And this novel takes place in Boston, which whatever, it's you know, it's not far away from Salem at all. But he does allude to some of the characters in the town as being witches who fly around at night with the Dark Lord. So given all of that, it's interesting that he was so ashamed of his great-great-grandfather for being one of the judges who were guilty of condemning these poor souls to death. Because if he really, did he really think that they were witches? That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm sorry, I'm like really overstimulated. As I said, I was at the museum today and everything. I have kids here. We're just having a lot of fun. But did he really think that they were, in that sense of what a witch meant to them, like in the 1600s? At the time that Nathaniel Hawthorne was writing, this was the 1800s. And they were pretty conservative in those times. I mean, you had your radicals and everything, but I myself, in my time, I have had that ridiculous quote thrown at me by people I know that thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, which is pretty condemning. So it's actually really refreshing to hear someone like Nathaniel Hawthorne feeling so ashamed by the actions of his ancestors for condemning these people to death. It's very interesting to me, and it's very refreshing, actually. It's just kind of something to think about. I don't know why I went off on that. Like, I might talk about that more in another video, but this is very good. And it's good to go into any classic novel with some sort of a lens. You have to separate yourself from our current world. Anyhow, what else? What else do we have? This is Tarot V. Honey Lou and I were talking about vampire decks the other day. And she's like, do you have Tarot V? And I'm like, no, I don't. I had forgotten all about that. And she did a little flip through for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? This is beautiful. This is considered like a scarier, more unsettling vampire deck, but I don't know. When she was showing me the images, I was just like, you know what? This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. I just thought I would show it to you. Ooh, look at that. Hanged Man. So yeah, Gothlit November. None of the books that I've chosen for this year really feature much of anything supernatural. I mean, there's a little bit of that. Like I said, there's a little bit of that, even in the Scarlet Letter. But most of it is subtle. And I do like that, actually. But it wasn't intentionally done. Wow. Can you hear the piano? Very avant-garde. It's my daughter, her friend. That's beautiful. Look at this ace. Interesting Two of Cups. That's cool. Yeah, I'm happy that I got this. This was on sale. I heard from Honey Lou that this might be going out of print. I don't know if that's confirmed or if that's just a fear. Very cool. Very gloomy, yet somehow full of life, even though they're the undead. Look at her. I love that. Yeah, I'm so happy that Honey Lou shared this with me. I don't know what I'm going to read for February this year. Or I should say next year. I keep getting that confused. I'm a little concerned because I don't know as anything can top what I learned from my reread of Dracula the last time. Maybe I'll link my February video below and candies, but really, I don't know as anything can top that. And I know there's a lot of vampire fiction out there, and not to hate or anything, but I really prefer the classics. I just think that people, I don't know, they spoke from the heart and soul in their novels. Or anyway, I'm talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula in a way that I don't really find so much anymore. Maybe people are worried about being politically correct. I don't know. I mean, there are definitely problems. There's problems with many of the classic literature that I love. Of course there are, but you have to go into classics with a certain lens and understanding and forgiveness of, you know, some old world beliefs and things. And there's retellings of Dracula, but I don't know as I will like them. I think it's best if you're going to write to just try to create your own work. But that's my own opinion. That's my own opinion. I don't know what I was on about, but I loved the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, and those could be considered contemporary. Oh, look at Christopher Lee. I'm so happy he's in this deck. Oh, how cute. It's cute. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of things I haven't tried. I might read them and think this is absolutely amazing. I read Carmilla. I think the first year of Gothlit November. And I really enjoyed that too. So I've read Carmilla, I've read Dracula, I've read the Vampire Chronicles. I know that I have a couple of other books on vampires, but not much. I don't have much. And you can find vampires in a lot of the poetry that I love, but as it's so much older, it's extremely elusive. But that's the power of the Gothic, really, is the terror of the unknown. So anyway, I don't know what I'll read for February. So yeah, that is Tarot V, and I just thought I would share it because this arrived today, shortly before we headed out the door to go to the MFA. Originally, I was thinking I kind of wanted to go to Concord, as I mentioned in one of my videos. I wanted to go to Concord to check out the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, as that is where Hawthorne is actually buried. And Louisa May Alcott is buried there, and I believe Thoreau and Emerson as well. Fascinating. It is not far away for me. However, it is a new driving experience. I've never driven there, and I haven't been to Concord for some time, so I'm not very familiar with it. There are some other historical sites to check out there as well, but it had rained, it was wet, and I had my daughter's friend with me, and I thought, I don't really want to drive to a new place with another kid in the car, and it might be wet. So we did go to revisit the Rachel Ruysch exhibit, and again, check out my previous wrap-up if you want to know more about that. That's really all that I can think of for November. I've been extremely busy and burnt out trying to keep my daughter on track with her homework, which if you saw my seance spread, my seance circle spread video, then you kind of know all about my woes. But that has been all consuming. So just been reading, helping her out, and working, and yeah, I think that's it. We had a wonderful day at the museum, had a wonderful Halloween part 1 and 2. I think that's really all that I need to share for right now, but I just thought that I would say hi and chat for a few minutes. All right, take care, guys. See you soon.